Coming up on Cronkite NewsWatch.
The state legislature is still trying to reach a budget deal. We'll tell you what happened in the House of Representatives today.
Going through airport security is already a hassle, but now TSA is asking Congress to make a rule that could make going through airport security more crowded.
And an unlikely new neighbor makes a home out of a Valley neighborhood.
In-depth, insightful, innovative. Cronkite NewsWatch starts right now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite NewsWatch. I'm Cassie Clapp.
And I'm Clarissa Tapia. Thanks for joining us. For the past 3 days, lawmakers at the Capitol have been trying to pass a state budget to send to the governor. But it looks like another day is passing and still no agreement on a budget. Cronkite News reporter Brittany Thomason has been at the Capitol all day and has the latest on the ongoing budget debate.
For days, there have been a series of closed-door meetings as lawmakers in the House try to reach some type of compromise on the budget sent over by the Senate. But here we are halfway through the week, and there still is no decision or vote on it. The problem lawmakers can't agree on is how to allocate the $9.2 billion in the budget. Instead of having the budget meeting, though, the Appropriations Committee met, hoping to deal with some other work, and then go back to the House floor to debate on the budget, one that has members divided over money for child welfare and charter school money. And while Republicans say they are making progress, Democrats are not expecting for a decision to be made anytime soon.
There's only so much in resources, and there's clearly a lot of need.
Without some significant changes, I plan to stay a no. My hope is that we would start from scratch and really try to recreate this budget from the beginning.
Some House Republicans like Sonny Borelli are confident that the budget is moving in the right direction, while others like Kelly Townsend told me she's very upset with the progress or lack of. Live in downtown Phoenix, Brittany Thomason, Cronkite News.
It's called I Teach AZ and is now gaining the attention of Congress. A program started at the ASU teaching school could soon become a model across the country on how future teachers are trained for the classroom. Cronkite News reporter Jillian Idle joins us in the DC Bureau with the details. Jillian?
I Teach AZ pairs student teachers with a mentor, giving them more hands-on and practical experience before giving them a classroom of their own. And the dean from the Mary Lou Fulton Teaching College at ASU told the Senate committee that this is having a huge impact in Arizona. The program began as a pilot in 2010 with 30 students, but now includes 589 college students placed in 29 districts across Arizona. Fulton Dean Mari Kerner believes by expanding this program, schools could see continued improvement.
Our students are even better, and they do more in the classroom, and that we're getting reports back from districts that they're entering the classroom like second-year teachers.
The committee says it's going to continue to do everything it can at the federal level to continue these types of programs, hoping that the outcome can be just as successful across the country. Reporting live in Washington, D.C., Jillian Idle, Cronkite News.
The deadline to apply for insurance under the Affordable Health Care Act is quickly approaching. Mayor Greg Stanton and Senior Advisor to the President Valerie Jarrett hosted a press conference today urging Arizonans to sign up. Reporter Tweelon Nugent was there. Tweelon?
Uninsured Americans now have until March 31st to apply for health insurance. As long as you begin the sign-up process by Monday, you won't have to pay a penalty. 48 million Americans don't have health insurance, according to the U.S. Census. The president's senior advisor came to Arizona to urge the 1 million uninsured residents here to sign up. The mayor also stressed its importance and the need for more people to sign up before the deadline.
It is definitely to get as many people signed up for health care, to get the preventative care that they need so they don't show up at the emergency room for those super expensive services. It's good for the economy, good for all of us.
To those who have health insurance, the 85% of America, your insurance is now stronger and better than ever before. And to those who don't, you now have a chance to sign up and have that such important freedom.
The city has several events to help guide people through the sign-up process over the next few days. For those interested in signing up, you can dial 211 and get connected with someone who can assist you. I'm Tweelon Nugent, Cronkite News.
A federal report could put armed guards at airport security checkpoints nationwide. Cronkite News reporter Brittany Bade was at Sky Harbor earlier and has the latest. Brittany?
Thanks, Clarissa. That's right. U.S. Congress is now considering this option after a report from the TSA. It contains 14 recommendations on how to make airports safer. But the armed guard recommendation came after a high-profile shooting at Los Angeles International Airport last fall.
November 1st. 2 TSA agents at LAX left a security checkpoint for their break.
You know, it's a different world we live in today.
One person lost his life and 3 others were injured in a shootout.
I think that anything we can do to make passengers safe and secure is a good idea.
Sheila Berman has flown the LAX to Sky Harbor route twice this week. And she supports a new proposal from the TSA to have an armed law enforcement agent stationed at airport security checkpoints during peak hours of operation.
Peak hours are different at every airport, but here at Sky Harbor, they are described as when the freeways are busy. So if the freeway is crowded, there would be an armed guard at the security checkpoint.
While TSA believes this move would make airports safer, some air travelers are not so sure.
I don't think it would make me feel more safe, no. No, I mean, just because someone has a gun doesn't mean you're safe.
A TSA spokesman told Cronkite News that its agents would not be the ones who are armed. Outside law enforcement officers would handle the weapons.
Someone with a gun can take out someone else.
As long as whoever is there is well trained, I don't have any problem with that at all.
Now, it is not clear what law enforcement officers would be brought to Sky Harbor if Congress approves TSA's suggestions. But Sergeant Trent Crump with the Phoenix Police Department told us that Phoenix PD currently has officers at Sky Harbor who work with TSA. Live in downtown Phoenix, Brittany Bade, Cronkite News.
A Senate bill is looking to make it easier for gun owners to carry their firearms into public buildings and events. When you walk into a public library, you may notice a storage area for bags and sweaters and other belongings. Though the lockers here on the front are actually for guns. And Senate Bill 1063 is looking to make carrying guns in public buildings and at public events easier. And gun advocates like Taylor King are open to the bill.
I've always been around guns. I was raised with guns, so I've been shooting guns my entire life.
The bill would allow people to carry guns in buildings that do not have storage lockers like this one. Right now, gun owners who bring their firearms into public buildings and events could get charged with misconduct if there is no storage available for their weapon. Republican State Senator David Farnsworth says this bill is just closing a loophole.
What it does is just say, hey, we've passed laws in the past. You're ignoring these laws, and so this is a reminder of what we've already passed.
Farnsworth says he supports the bill because it complements his views.
Pro-Second Amendment, 100%, no exceptions.
But some gun rights supporters can also see a downside.
I think it'll make the bystanders that are against guns less comfortable, and obviously the owners of the business who don't support carrying guns in their business, they'll probably feel a little uncomfortable as well.
And while the bill is moving through the House, Farnsworth isn't sure of a surefire passage.
I'm not going to bet on this one.
The bill passed through the Senate after initially being voted down, moved through the House Judiciary Committee, Caucus, and Committee of the Whole, and now awaits final approval from the House before moving to the governor.
The Arizona Senate has approved a bill that will give the Department of Public Safety workers a $40 million raise over the next 3 years. The House-passed bill now allocated $8.1 million in 2014, $13.3 million in 2015, and $8 million in 2016. Republican House Speaker Andy Tobin says Arizona DPS officers are underpaid and the raises are necessary to retain officers because the bill involves an appropriation not included by Governor Jan Brewer's budget proposal. It will likely change.
Coming up on NewsWatch.
Is your gas tank getting too close to empty? As the weather gets hot, we'll explain how that affects your car and your wallet.
And if you're in Tempe and happen to drive by a peacock, you're not going crazy. I'll have more about the neighborhood birds coming up.
NewsWatch is one of the really big things I will always remember for the rest of my life.
You're lugging around all of your equipment, you are doing all of the work, and that's what makes it so fulfilling to me.
Being an anchor, I think it's a privilege. I enjoy every moment of it.
Seeing your show on air, it is one of the most surreal feelings ever.
What if we could unlock every mystery?
We're at the beginning of a revolution. That's a huge discovery.
That's never been done before, ever, anywhere.
Touchdown. No one feeds on curiosity like PBS. Give to your PBS station so future generations can keep asking, what if?
I am a chef. I cook for a living. And I think of PBS as a window to the world. That kind of place where you feel you are part of the story. I want to be part of every possible world is out there. That's when things become really amazing. And when you are able to see stories that make you wonder, makes you think, that's what really makes PBS so meaningful. And that's the kind of TV we need to be supporting today.
The number of people running out of gas is going up. AAA reports that last year more than 13% of their calls were about empty fuel tanks. It may be tempting to keep that fuel gauge close to E, but it could cost you more later. Cronkite News reporter Crystal Story is live with the details.
We all like to save as much money as we can, especially when it comes to gas, but a local mechanic told me we could be damaging our cars if we don't cash out now.
Filling up your tank is a pain and expensive, but it might be worth it. $5 here, $5 there, it may get you from point A to point B, but keeping your tank close to E may also get you to the mechanic.
What we recommend is a quarter of a tank instead of running it near empty. The electric fuel pump is submerged in that fuel, and that electric motor uses the fuel in the tank to dissipate heat.
Translation?
So if you refill your tank before the fuel pump is dangling around in the air, you can extend the life of the fuel pump.
Depending on the car you have, a fuel pump repair could cost anywhere between a couple $100s or a couple $1,000.
Not only are we talking about a tow truck and diagnostic tests, but the cost to replace, you have to remove the fuel tank and replace that pump, it can be several $100s or more depending on the car.
And no fuel pump is the same, meaning your mechanic will have to order them.
Sometimes we can get them in and out in a few hours or the same day, and sometimes they're here for a couple of days. If it's an older vehicle or a specialized vehicle, that they don't keep them in stock.
And their advice to keep your car out of the shop?
Fill your car up and then fill it up again before it's empty. And that will save you money in that fashion, but it'll also save you probably a $1,000 repair on your fuel pump.
The mechanics also told me that going in and out of a gas station to put a small amount of fuel in your car is already wasteful. You use more gas turning the car on and off. Live in the broadcast center, Crystal Story, Cronkite News.
You may notice an uncommon sight when driving through one Tempe neighborhood, and our Hannah Lawrence caught them on tape.
The Mill Ash neighborhoods welcome these feathered friends to their streets with Instagram fame, special street signs, and occasional snacks. But the birds could still be unceremoniously removed under the current city code. Peacock sightings are not rare in this Tempe neighborhood. These two male birds can be found roaming around Ash and 10th Street, which has attracted local admirers.
I think they're a nice addition to the neighborhood. They're quite graceful and beautiful.
Now, these peacocks are not native to Arizona, and while everyone in the neighborhood seems to love having them around, they don't know where they came from. A question that may go unanswered. Residents say they started seeing the colorful birds around July of last year.
They just showed up.
The Phoenix Zoo says peafowl originate from Asia, so they cannot be found in the wild here. So where did they come from? The zoo says probably somebody's backyard, where they were likely kept as exotic pets.
Come on, boys, where are you going?
Tempe City Code does not allow peacocks to live in non-agricultural areas, and the Mill Ash neighborhood is no farm district. So far, the city has received complaints from only one resident about noise and waste. City investigators made their own case study during several trips to the neighborhood, where they encountered many bird lovers.
Sometimes they'll come onto my patio, and they won't really bother you. They're just like very pretty.
City council members say they're working on a new code that would welcome peacocks into Tempe, and the neighborhood Facebook page is working on signs that would do just that. As of right now, if the peacocks are found violating city code in the same person's yard again, the city will fine the homeowner up to $160. I'm Hannah Lawrence, Cronkite News.
Coming up on Newswatch.
It's windy, noisy, and maybe even a little dangerous. I'll have more coming up next.
And winds are picking up across the state. Will we see another haboob? I'll let you know after this.
Imagine being stranded.
Feeding 16,000 points for them.
From TV banks to computers.
Cronkite NewsWatch starts right now.
Kiss me. That's my kind of man. You've been creating quite a stir.
Is the Memphis Belle, and this beauty played a special role in World War II. The famed 4-engine bomber will be open for tours this weekend at Deer Valley Airport. If you're up for it, you can take a ride like I did. There are almost no windows on this plane, but you will get a window into history.
If you see this airplane sitting static in a museum, it is not the same experience as when we crank it up and go fly.
The Memphis Belle is one of only 15 Boeing B-17s, the bombers that were the backbone of U.S. military might during World War II. What you might not know is that the nickname for this plane is the Flying Fortress, and pilots think it's a lot harder to drive one of these. Military veteran Ron Gause volunteers to fly the Memphis Belle.
All I can say is I'm just a lucky old man. I was at the right place at the right time, maybe had the right friends, who knows? It was kind of like it was meant to be.
The Memphis Belle is flying around the country, and this tour makes a point to honor the servicemen who flew it by inviting them on board.
When the gentlemen get on board the aircraft and they come off, sometimes they're in tears because they are remembering when they were there, or they remember what happened to some of their crew members.
And it gives others a glimpse into what they experienced in defending our country.
We can go visit the battlefield at Gettysburg, we can go stand at Omaha Beach and where the battle actually happened, but we can't go visit their battlefield. It happened, at 20, 25, 30,000 feet.
Each flight on the Memphis Belle holds 9 people, and the cost is $450 per person. The bumpy ride is not for the faint of heart, but it is sure to be an experience of a lifetime.
I'm tracking 3 storm systems across the country. The first one is in Washington, where they have seen enough rain, but they're going to get some more. After that mudslide, crews are going to have a hard time picking up because they're going to have an 80% chance of rain Sunday through Tuesday. And moving across the country into the northeast, they're going to see even more snow. They've seen enough of that as well. They had a blizzard warning earlier today, but the winds are the biggest problem. The peak wind in Maine was 119 miles per hour, and the wind is knocking down trees and power lines and causing power outages as well. And we're having plenty of wind here in Arizona as well. We're seeing huge gusts of wind. If you take a live look at what's going on outside, you can see the trees moving and the flags in the breeze as well. And downtown is just looking really gray and dusty right now. And from the haboobs yesterday, we're still seeing some of that dust in the area, and we're gonna have some high wind warnings throughout the state as well. Taking a look at our weather alerts, the National Weather Service has issued 2 alerts for the state. The first one is covering most of the state, and that is the blowing dust warning, but up in the northeastern part of the state, that is the high winds warning. If you take a look at these wind speeds right now, they're seeing gusts of about 40 miles per hour of sustained winds in the northeast. The wind slow is at 40 miles per hour right now. Flagstaff is at 33, and the Phoenix area, we're at 25 to 30 miles of sustained winds, but then we're going to see gusts of up 40 miles per hour, and the winds are causing plenty of hazardous conditions for your health and the air quality. So we're at the unhealthy for some level right now. So if you're a young child or an older person, you may want to keep your outdoors activities limited today because it's just going to cause even more problems for your asthma and other health as well. And temperatures around the state right now, we're at 78 in Sky Harbor, 77 in Chandler. Over in Goodyear, we're at 77, and then Luke Air Force Base is 75, and looking at your 5-day forecast. Tomorrow, we're going to have breezy conditions as well. We're at 74 degrees tomorrow. Saturday, we're going to clear up, no more clouds, 86 degrees. Sunday, Monday, those clouds will pop back in, back up to 88. We're almost going to break that 90-degree mark, but just not yet. I'm Jimmy Purvis with your Cronkite weather.
Coming up on NewsWatch.
Big free agent signing and a new rule in the NFL that might take away your favorite player's celebration. Plus, as the NBA winds down, baseball is gearing up, and for one pro, that means a chance to play in front of his hometown. Sports is loaded, and it's up next.
A tradition of excellence, integrity, and innovation.
The second I came in, I fell in love with the program.
The Cronkite School propels students into the new era of journalism.
Students are learning.
Digital, entrepreneurial, and collaborative labs encourage students to shape the future of the industry, and the industry is watching.
We have come here to meet with students at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism.
The Cronkite School, the journalism school for the digital age.
What if television could sweep us away to another time and place?
Very nice, my lady.
And could take us from the Gilded Age to the Great War. From the heat of the chase to the heart of a queen. No one tells stories like PBS. Give to your PBS station and help bring stories like these to life.
He's not going to the Seahawks, but Jared Allen is staying in the NFC North. In a deal that came out of nowhere, the former Defensive Player of the Year agreed to a 4-year contract with the Chicago Bears this morning that could be worth up to $32 million. Seattle was supposed to be the favorite as he made 2 trips there in the past 2 weeks. He's been with the Vikings the last 6 seasons, going to the Pro Bowl 4 times. You saw a little bit of his signature dance roping the calf after sacking a quarterback. That's still allowed, but the NFL announced a rule change that will take away even more creativity when it comes to celebrating. We've all seen this and sometimes even enjoyed it. Players dunking the football over the goalpost, but say bye-bye. The NFL has now decided if you dunk, you pay, as in penalty. Saints tight end Jimmy Graham doesn't like the rule change, but it appears it won't stop him. When he first heard, he tweeted out, "I guess I'll have to lead the NFL in penalties next year, #FunPolice." And for those of you who don't remember, Graham did this last year against the Falcons. Oops is right, Jimmy, but this is probably part of the reason why the league made the change. Here's an idea: build stronger goalposts. Thankfully, dunking will always be allowed in the NBA. Mavericks hosted the Thunder in an overtime thriller, and here's Kevin Durant being just filthy. The Slim Reaper had 43, but it wasn't enough. Jose Calderon on the next possession gets it to go, and we're going to overtime, and that's when Dirk takes over. Mavericks win 128-119. And that's not good for the Suns because they're one of the teams Phoenix is chasing. The playoffs are almost here, and right now the Suns are on the outside looking in. With that win, the Mavericks are the 7th seed ahead of the Grizzlies, and both those two teams are half game ahead of the Suns. But it's going to be an uphill climb for the Suns because they have the toughest schedule with 11 games left. Whether it's in the playoffs or in spring training, you're always supposed to root for the home team, and for residents of Buckeye, no matter what jersey Cole Calhoun puts on, they'll always be on his side. Cronkite sports reporter Jamie Purvis went to the roots of this Angels outfielder.
The city of Buckeye started out as a small town and grew into a big city. Cole Calhoun started out as a baseball fan and grew into a star baseball player for the Los Angeles Angels.
When I was a kid, they used to ask, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I would say, I want to be a baseball player. I want to be a baseball player. I mean, everybody was like, oh, okay, all right, well, yeah, you want to be a baseball player, but like something real.
But his dreams were real. One detour by ASU to Grandpa's house, and Cole knew he would play baseball forever.
He was glued to his side of the window, you know, and
He goes, wow, Dad, that's really, really cool. I'm like, well, Cole, if you play hard and you work hard, you'll get there. He goes, Dad, I will play there.
And he took those words of advice to heart, working for hours, perfecting his skills, and it paid off when he went out for the high school team.
He was a really good athlete. He loved the game, and he's earned everything he's gotten. And so he's going to be very successful.
And he was, putting up big numbers at ASU and catching the eyes of scouts, especially on draft day.
They came yelling again. I was like, oh, who's this one for? And the guys told me my name, 8th round of the Angels. And I was so ecstatic, like I can't even explain it.
He was like, yeah, I'm going to be an Angel. I was like, well, all right, from a devil
to an angel.
Cole would walk through these gates just to get to practice, having no idea that one day he'd make it to the majors, and that is inspiring others to follow his path.
Because I actually kind of dreamed to be like him, play outfield and do the things he did, make it to the major MLB and just be a big star like that.
But it all started on that field in that small town of Buckeye. I'm Jamie Purvis for Cronkite Sports. And guys, that is such an amazing story, and that family is just so amazing. We won't be able to watch him this weekend, but the D-backs will be at Chase Field this weekend.
I really want to make it to one. I never made it to spring training, so I feel like now we have to go.
Absolutely. I'm a huge baseball fan, so let's all go get out there.
All right, well, that's it for Cronkite NewsWatch tonight.
Thanks for joining us. Good night.